Astra Travelers, and welcome to a very special episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast, where we'll be creating our own ancient names for characters across Teyvat.
Are you old as hell? No, just me and Tiff? Well, join us anyway at our website, talesofteyvat.com, where each episode, including special little nods to the past like this one, has special little visuals for you to enjoy sitting around your decorated Irminsul tree.
Called out.
I'm not going to be old alone. I'm sorry.
While you're on our site, check out our other specials and previous episodes and seasons.
Finally, feel free to email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let us know if we're on your nice list or your naughty list this year. We're very curious to know. I'm probably on the naughty list, and it's fine. Additionally, you can feel free to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts as a nice little holiday gift to us. Hopefully it's not full of coal. Or you can feel free to join our Discord server, Shades of Teyvat, in collaboration with the Shade Chamber podcast. You can join it by going to bit.ly/Shades of Teyvat, where you can join us if the holidays just aren't your thing and they're not a good time for you. You can come hang out with us and some awesome other people and talk Genshin, Star Rail, and other general things as well. Like how I hate the snow.
How anti-East Coast of you.
I know, I hate the snow. You know why? Because it always snows on Saturday. It always snows after 6 p.m. It always snows before 7 a.m. And it can never just give you a day off.
Yeah.
Or an easy commute.
Man, remember those days, though, when you used to have snow days at school?
Oh, I still do.
I used to get snow days because I went to a Catholic high school that was not in my town, and a lot of my friends lived a couple towns over. So I would get a snow day because I couldn't get to school, but then get on New Jersey Transit and go 3 towns past my high school to go sled riding in the West Hudson Park. Within garbage bags, because who had a sled?
I had a plastic sled.
On my bus, too, so it would have been a little hard. Plus, that would have been, I would have had to have been prepared.
True. It's hard to be prepared as a kid.
Yeah.
But we're actually not going to stay in the cold today. We're going to go somewhere very warm to begin, and that is Natlan, because today we're going to be giving ancient names and current ancient name bearers for each of the nations we have. And Tiff is going to explain this much better in a second. But before I hand over the reins to this holiday season, I just wanted to give a quick refresher to travelers on what the heck an ancient name is. So if you haven't played Natlan, or, you blew through it in the first week it was out, you need a quick refresher. In Natlan, heroes of the past, typically from about 500 years ago, their names were saved and carved into these little rocks. And people in current day Teyvat can be given an ancient name, and they become called ancient name bearers. And once they have fully awakened the power of their ancient hero, they now share in those powers. It's typically the idea of passing on a reputation, a lineage, so to speak. A legacy. Yeah, like when you're named after someone, except you also get special powers. And sometimes you get to meet the dead guy in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to meet the dead people. I don't think my name is a legacy, but if it was, I would not want to meet them. No offense to them.
You don't want to meet the previous Amandas?
No, because they're all child predators, apparently.
Oh my god. Do they actually get special powers from their ancient name, or is it just special powers that they can control, I should say? Because I just kind of took it as they get all the memories of the ancient name bearer, and it's sort of this prestige, torch bearing thing for your tribe, where you're sort of the representative of your tribe. But I feel like it's a little unclear on the powers that are happening. I mean, I know that Moeka can do things with them, but can they do extra things that they couldn't do before?
Well, I will start by saying that I don't think they become a total representation of the tribe, just because you can have multiple people from your tribe having an ancient name at once.
Right. Oh, that's true.
We know Gilonin and Kachina both have ancient names and echoes right now. We also know that NPCs can have ancient names as well. So people that are visionless, people that we've just run into. We saw that when we did the like stadium battle, and they're people who I don't remember their names. So they definitely weren't symbols for their tribe if I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
The only reason I bring up the powers, and maybe it's just for our 6 heroes of Natlan, but I remember when these heroes had to wait for their full potential to be awakened before they could be the heroes of Natlan. So I assume that came with some sort of special power, but I could be very wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, because I know their awakening or whatever was what allowed Mavika to do her special spell or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But, I was just wondering, like, do they have more abilities than they did before? That's, I guess, where it's confusing.
I think some of the power comes in the knowledge and the history that they gather from it. It might not be actually a physical thing, where I think it seems like it could potentially make them a little bit better.
They're wiser.
Yeah, and like even with the idea that in the stadium when it's the competition, all the teams have to be headed by an ancient name bearer. So like there's a good reason why you have to at least have one in there. So I think it does have something, but it's not like getting a vision for the first time and all of a sudden you can like, smash rocks.
Right.
They always can smash rocks in that. But that being said, Tiff, why don't you explain a little bit better than I did what we're going to be doing today with these ancient names?
Yes. So we are going to go under the idea that, because right now we've first only learned about Natlan's ancient names when we got to Natlan. So this is going to be, assume that we had ancient names in other nations. And if we did, who do we think would have been an originator? Which is typically the dead guy, and who would be an ancient name bearer from that region. Since we don't get really caught into different tribes and stuff like that, we're just going to go by nation itself. So we're each going to kind of go around from each nation, say who our originator is, who our name bearer is, and kind of why.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So we might as well start with our first nation. We'll just go in order. And I'm going to start us off. So for Mondstadt, I chose my ancient name originator would be the Princess of Salvindagnar.
That's a good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if anybody who needs a little refresher of her, that Salvindagnar was pre-Dragonspine. The Salvindagnar people brought about the you can say that they were the ushers in of the snow. But the princess was able to paint frescoes, not fontas. And she painted
frescoes.
Not fresco.
What about sun-kissed?
What about a Diet Pepsi?
She may have painted a Diet Pepsi. So she was able to kind of see the future and kind of build out these frescoes that kind of gave them an idea of what was going on. So she knew that the Skynail was coming. She was able to create the frost-bearing tree, which is what she laid underneath and died underneath. And there's a lot more that goes into her. If you are more interested and you don't know about the Salvindagnar people, we do actually have an episode about it too. And also about the crazy little box that you can get in a whole treasure chest room that she has. So I picked her just because I think she was very integral to the Salvindagnar people for the history of Mondstadt. I think that she tried to get the community to live on. She, really showed a lot for her people and didn't want to just let the Skynail hit them and go away. Like she tried. So therefore I picked for my current day ancient name bearer would be Noelle. Because if there is somebody who has tried, it is Noelle. That woman has tried everything to get into the Knights. And there she is, still cleaning the houses. So I think that Noelle would be a perfect person to bring apart the whole side of the princess to, she's always keeping other people in mind and trying to make things better for other people. And I think that Noelle does that a lot.
No, I think that's great.
Does that mean Noelle's going to get psychic powers?
I hope so.
She just starts painting.
Yeah, she starts painting like the destruction of Mondstadt.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's Albedo's gig.
Yeah, she's going to grab some of his paint that he made out of all that star silver.
Also, does that mean that the Traveler, during her hangouts, she was very like romance coded with the Traveler for a hot minute? So are we the one that's going to like wander away from Mondstadt and then it's going to get destroyed while we're gone?
Yeah, I think
we're going to
so.
come back and everyone's dead.
Yeah. What's his name? Imenlocker?
Imenlocker, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're Imenlocker.
I love it.
We're going to be alive. Sorry, Noelle.
I like that. It's a good fit.
Well, since we already said that Fiends always ends up in the middle, we're going to skip her and go right to B and put Fiends at the end.
Okay. So I'm going to go with the obvious one, but I have a backup in case it's too obvious. So the obvious one that just immediately popped into my head, I think, is that Vanessa is the originator, like the old school ancient name person.
Mm-hmm.
And the modern day person would be Jean.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Vanessa, of course, huge hero, saved Mondstadt from the aristocracy and really helped, with the help of Venti, of course, helped turn it into the city of freedom. Vanessa, she was kind of thrust into this role, right? Like as like a leader of her people and then of all of Mondstadt and the Knights of Favonius. And Jean is sort of the same way, where it's like Varka left and she was sort of thrust into a leadership position. And she just works really hard to rally everyone together and to work her butt off to keep Mondstadt safe. So that was kind of my obvious pick.
No, I think that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a great combo.
And Jean really admires Vanessa,
Yeah, she really looks to her. I mean, we see her go to the tree, to Vanessa's tree, to even meditate and like do like what would Vanessa do?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is one of my mottos, but it's the other Vanessa. I use that all the time.
I love the idea that she's just like going to the tree and she's like, ancient name creator, what the fuck am I doing? No, I think it's a good one. And honestly, I think it's like the perfect example of a Mondstadt ancient name situation. So for mine, I picked my ancient name originator as Anya M. Andersodder, codename M from the Hexen Circle. She is most known for being the author of The Boar Princess. So it's assumed that she has Mondstadt origins. I could be proved wrong in upcoming months, but for now, we're keeping it. And I just thought that as a member of the Hexen Circle, she is a pretty prominent member of Teyvat overall. And she created more stories and fairy tales outside of the Boar Princess. But the Boar Princess is such like a pivotal story in Mondstadt. And it has a lot of people worried to go out to like Dragonspy and stuff like that. So I just thought it was a fun little catch, especially now that we are seeing more of the Boar Princess as well in no Bork Princess.
She's the Borking Princess.
How about the Bjork Princess?
Oh no.
Yeah. But I also just thought, since we're seeing more of the Boar Princess over in Imaginarium, that obviously she's left a legacy in Mondstadt.
Yeah.
So I thought Sucrose would be the name bearer for her.
Oh.
Sucrose might not be a witch per se. She's no Lisa or Mona, but she has this duty and want to create and do better, and everything that she does with her alchemy is to do good things. And Anya was that way as well. I also thought with Sucrose, they kind of had these interesting like tales of feeling lonely, and Andersodder also had like a loneliness to her. And we know from Sucrose's lore that all of her friends basically abandoned her. So I thought if anyone was going to encourage Sucrose to continue to go on in a legacy name, it would be Anya.
So now, do you think that Sucrose would be involved in the other Durin? If we knew that M was involved in the Simulanka version of Mini Durin, do you think Sucrose would have a connection to?
Well, I was just about to say that it makes sense to me because Anders' daughter basically created a whole world, and Sucrose is very much about trying to like run experiments to create, like to achieve creation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. I don't know if she'd have any connections to Durin just because of Simulanka. I think if there's one thing we've learned, it's that you don't necessarily take the same paths as your ancient name originator. So I don't know. But I also think it just works well for Sucrose because she is close with Albedo. She has worked with Mona. So to have like this like double entendre of connection to the Hexen Circle too would be really fun.
Well, I think those are all great.
Oh, I was going to share my backup that I had because I was worried that
Brandon can never have one.
No, I promise. I only have one for the other regions. I just picked one because I was like, one of them is going to choose Vanessa and Jean.
I specifically didn't pick Vanessa because I figured one of you guys would.
That's what I was like, if they didn't do it, they're thinking about it. But the other one that I had real quick was Kreutzlied and Eula. And Kreutzlied, as a refresher, was one of the Wanderers troupe who had the bell, so also a Claymore user. And he was a member of the Lawrence clan who like rejected the clan and was also like disowned by them. And he's also the one that created the spy network, by the way, and that spy network helped Vanessa take control of Mondstadt. So just like his rejection of the aristocracy and like being disowned for it, while also being like a big hero to Mondstadt, thought would be perfect for Eula.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I like that.
Such a good throwback, too. I forgot about the Wandering Troupe for a second.
I know. I forget about Kreutzlied, and then I'll stumble upon him somewhere, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
The Wandering Troupe just did so much in Mondstadt. It's crazy that they're not talked about more by, like, the characters.
Yeah.
Not written in their history books.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tiff, you want to take us to Liyue?
Yes. We don't. I was about to say, let's go on a boat. We don't have to go on a boat. We're going to take a little trek down to Liyue. And for my Liyue ancient name originator, I picked Dusty Ming, who, if you're like, who the frig is Dusty Ming? She is the little ghost inside the Wanshu Inn. But, I mean, before she was a ghost, she was actually a child as well, because she's a little kid ghost.
So sad.
She's a cutie little thing too, but she likes to like scare people. But when she was alive, she had parents, go figure, and she was like a doting kid. She got very ill. And when she died and became a ghost, her first thing that she used to do was actually take care of her mother. And she would still, as a ghost, like make her breakfast and like little things like that. Like she would actually like still hang out with her mom.
Talk about being a parentalized child. This was another kid.
Yeah. But I also think it's kind of nice too. She was like, oh, she's like, I'm going to go visit my mom and make her feel better that I'm gone, but I'm here.
Yeah, that's sweet.
So my current name bearer would be Hu Tao.
Oh.
And I think it's because of the main connection to the afterlife and to with ghosts, the idea that she also likes to scare children. Dusty Ming's enjoying her afterlife over there, scaring people. They kind of have a good little connection. But I think just the idea that Dusty was going to visit her mom and still kind of bringing back that peace. And I think that's one of the things that Hu Tao does the most in her job is she brings peace to the families of the people who've been lost.
Doesn't she help like the ghosts of kids move on in one of her stories or something?
In her actual story quest, she helps a specific child move on.
Yeah.
Who gets lost.
Yeah.
Which is sad too. Who gets lost and she helps them move on. But I think she also does it for other people as well, just in general. There's kind of like a little weird cave in the side of the area in Liyue where all the little ghosts are.
Oh, in Wu Wong Hill.
Yeah, in Wu Wong Hill, you can just kind of walk into a wall and, well, she can at least. And she helps people move on.
I was going to say, too, it's kind of the vice versa of Hu Tao with Dusty Ming, where Dusty Ming was like going to her mom to make sure that her mom was okay. And Hu Tao like actually went to the afterlife to like try to talk to her grandfather after he passed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when she had that like acknowledgement of like, oh, he's okay, she was able to like go on and about her life.
Yeah.
A good one.
So
a good
cute.
start.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, you better continue this good start.
Oh, I don't know. This one was hard for me, but I knew I wanted to go with the original one being Zhao, just because he's been around for so long. Even though he's still there, I thought it would be fun to think about like someone having that, like, from back in the day, but then also mirroring someone that's a little newer.
Okay.
So the one that I went with, and there were a couple that I was like going back and forth on, but the one that I went with was Shenhe. And I like the idea because Zhao is like bound to Zhongli by duty/contract and sort of like selflessly slays monsters at his own expense. And he kind of becomes like a shell in a way, like he's just kind of like a fighting machine and like not really as connected with humanity. And Shenhe is sort of similar in that she's bound literally by the spirit ropes. And she goes through her own life kind of like a shell because she has to kind of cut her emotions off. And so she's just kind of like doing her duty and like keeping Liyue safe and, following orders loyally. But she's also kind of disconnected in a similar way, I thought. So that's what I went with.
No, I think that's a great one. Also, like
Yeah.
the idea that she's almost like bound to Cloud Retainer to a degree for like taking her in a way that Zhao's also like. I feel like Zhao has I owe Zhongli my life of thought, and so that Shenhe might have a similar idea to Cloud Retainer too.
Yeah.
And like poisoned by a demon type of like her life force sort of being poisoned by a demon. This and some reminded me of Zhao a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good one.
Yeah, I like it.
Right, Amanda.
Okay. So for my originator, I had Guizhong. I honestly, it's just one of those things where it's a character that was so loved by everyone who was around during that time. She was sweet. She was very pro-justice. She wanted people to be happy, specifically her people. And she didn't really want to deal with like the humdrum stuff. She wanted to just make technology and make things and have fun. And she had like a greater worldview, I think, than a lot. And so for her name bearer currently, I picked Xingqiu. And I felt that Xingqiu has a similar connection to the arts as Guizhong. While Guizhong was using technology, he is writing, but it was their way of expressing themselves and kind of getting out of the headspace of what maybe other people or other adepti may have wanted them to be. And also Xingqiu has like a greater worldview of like, I don't want to do trade. I want to save the world. And I want to make this world a better place. And they both have blue hair. So I thought that'd be cute.
Yeah. That is cute. I like it. I think that he's a perfect representation of her too, just for his sweet nature.
Yeah, he is gentle like her.
Yeah. And she seemed to really kind of embrace that. Like she liked a little rivalry and stuff like that, but she also wasn't like Cloud Retainer kind of is with I need to be better. Like I feel like a lot of that, even when they had their little dispute of who made better machines and stuff like that, I really feel that was more Cloud Retainer, because I think Guizhong was just like, I'm awesome and I know it and I don't need anybody else to tell me. And I feel like Xingqiu is like that as well. He's like, I have a whole other pen name and my own books.
Yeah.
My only downfall is I can't write my own name.
I just hope he doesn't meet the same end as Guizhong.
Yeah, that would
hopefully
that would be nice. So now let's get on the boat. We're gonna travel on down to Inazuma.
Thanks, Beto.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is Beto taking us?
Yeah. Well, how else are you gonna get there? I mean, it's not gonna be Sakajuro.
No, he's probably dead.
Oh,
Aww.
I could have made him an originator. My ancient name originator is Rue, because I love Rue.
Aww.
And I think it was so selfless of him for his people and for his, his small nation. Not saying he wasn't representing Inazuma, but, their small little area in the island and stuff in Foggy Island. Like, he was a child and was just like, yeah, sacrifice me. I'm going. I'm going to do what I need to do. That's going to make everything better for my people and my family, especially. But he also, he was a child, so he had a lot of imagination. And I think that's what the bird really liked. The bird.
The bird.
I forgot her name and I totally just want to.
Kapatsir, wasn't it?
Kana Caput something, yeah.
Kapatsir, yeah, something like that.
The bird.
The Thunderbird.
Let's just go back to a second to Rue volunteering to sacrifice himself. What happened? The adults said, sure, why not? His child sacrifice is very real in Teyvat.
Yeah.
But I finally caught on to because that was always my thing, is that Rue didn't want it. They forced him. But then every time I say that, I have the rebuttal of, but he willingly did it. So I was like, you know what? Maybe he really did willingly do it.
He willingly did it over and over and over.
Honestly, he didn't sign up for that.
He got pissed at us when we tried to stop him.
Yeah, he did. He got very mad when we tried to stop him. So for the ancient name bearer of now, I picked Ayaka. Not that she's going to go sacrifice herself, but...
Luckily, she's not a kid.
Yeah, she's not a kid, but she does have a lot of childlike wonderment, the way that she looks at the world. She is very much about her family and is very much about her people and doing what's best for them. And the fact that she does a lot of like cultural things and stuff, I think ties back to the fact that Rue was... he had this beautiful little voice, and I think that she kind of just represents that a lot in that family and found family first kind of thing.
She has a beautiful dance. Like she's very inspiring in the same way.
Yeah, they both have a love of music.
But I think Rue took his socks off.
Thank God.
And she longs to get away from her duty and like explore and travel and stuff. Just like Rue longs to like get into that feather and go see the world.
Yeah. Rue's still with us.
I just want to let you guys know that because you brought up wet socks, that I just had this flash of memory that I totally had a dream recently that I was wet socked in a river.
I love that you're just calling her
verb.
that as her name.
I
Wet
blame
sock, you know, wet
guys.
socks. Wet socks with the white hair.
No. I mean, like, I was wearing wet socks in a river. Like, it wasn't that I was Ayaka. And I just want to say thanks for, like, giving me nightmares.
Wow.
Fuck you
You're
guys.
welcome.
You deserve it for as
Wow.
much as you hate on a poor Ayaka.
I love Ayaka, just not that.
I'm going to now use that as a verb, though. I got wet socked.
Oh, you got Ayaka instead of Tignari. I'm sorry. You know, her 500-day banner, you didn't pull her. You lost all the 50-50s and then some. I'm so sorry. Okay, Brandon, are you going to bring me more wet socks?
No, I'm not.
Okay, cool. I'm happy.
So my originator, I chose Abaraku, aka Abrax. And as a reminder, Abaraku created the Dainichi Mikoshi down in Enkanomiya. Which, you know, saved the people after it sunk down there from all the bishops and like gave them light and hope, and was eventually turned on by the Sun Children and like locked away in prison and everything. And the modern day character I chose would be Kokomi, because Kokomi is also like a light to the very endangered people of Watatsumi.
Yeah.
And is a symbol of hope to them. And the people of Watatsumi are also, of course, at least at first, at odds with the governing force of Inazuma. So they're also sort of facing persecution from those in control, much like Abaraku was, turned against by the Sun Children, or the people controlling the Sun Children.
No, that's an amazing one. That's like, you went deep into Enkanomiya for that one.
I applaud you for your restraint in having it be Phillips, the Phillips light bulb.
Phillips. Yeah.
Also, Brandon brought up child sacrifice again.
Listen, it's everywhere. We can't escape it.
Actually, so far, it's only been in Inazuma this episode. So both of you picking the child sacrifice situations of Inazuma is a little wild.
Well, don't let us down. Pick another.
These are our heroes, people that sacrifice children.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I have no child sacrifice in mind. Sorry, not sorry. So for Inazuma, and I might be pronouncing this wrong, I picked Yanagibashi Takoto. That is the samurai that we meet during the Mikawa Flower Festival, which is the yokai event.
Oh, right.
He is the samurai who is very young and wanders into a yokai festival, and a yokai challenges him to a game of like paddleball, basically.
Mhm.
And the paddles are the ones that come back to haunt us years later.
Mhm.
But he is the samurai that just continuously comes back to hang out the yokai, also is off battling wars in the midground, and he does eventually, unfortunately, pass away because he is just a human. But he just had like such an open-minded heart. He was very willing to take in the yokai right away. He was a samurai who kind of traversed around Inazuma. He went where he needed to. He was very dedicated to those who helped him and were dedicated to him, hence why he kept coming back every year to the flower festival. And so for him, I picked Kazuha as his current name bearer.
Yes.
I felt, obviously, they're both samurai, but could you not see Kazuha returning every like 5 to 10 years to a festival just to
absolutely.
play
Mhm.
paddleball?
As you were describing him, like his recap, I was like thinking, please say Kazuha, please say Kazuha, please say Kazuha. Because I was like, oh, this sounds like Kazuha.
Yeah, they're just both like such like clean souls.
And just like adventurous and like curious and like wandering, you know?
Yeah, and just good-natured overall. Yeah. So that's mine.
I like that a lot because Tsukutu and his whole story, and I think that was a nice throwback to that character itself, just because he was beautiful in what he did and what he did to kind of bomb the yokai. And the fact that he did, like you said, he just kept going back. It was beautiful.
When Kazuha walks into the Twink Tank, like you should see how many of the guys swoon.
Oh, yeah, and the girls that are there too, because there's always one straight girl that goes with her gay best friend to Twink Tank. That would be me normally.
I was gonna say, isn't that you?
I allow it because I've done it. So there are also girls that turn their head and swoon at Kazuha.
Just no bachelorette parties.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No bachelor parties either. Sorry, guys. We can't do that at Twink Tank. It disrupts the flow. But you can reserve us on a weekday if you want. We're a little slower then. But it's a little, Port Ormos, man, like, it's a good time. People are out partying every night, so it's a little hard for us. Maybe like a Tuesday.
Right.
Bachelor Tuesdays.
Open to having events on Tuesdays only.
Yeah, that's when Kaveh actually comes in. He does like a sip and paint.
Yeah.
So Twink Tank becomes the artist corner for like one night only.
He's like oblivious to where he even is. He's like bringing the students that he's teaching there.
Yeah, and there's just penises on the wall. It's like you look closely in the wallpaper's little dicks.
He's like, well, that's clearly a building in the style of blah blah blah.
And then the one kid's like, nah, that's a dick. My brother draws them on our fridge. Like, I've seen it.
There's nothing like talking about dicks on Christmas.
Oh, yeah. As we should, honestly. It would make Christmas better.
It really would. I mean, Twink Tank would make Christmas better, too.
A Twink Tank makes everything better, guys. 2-for-1 Thursdays. Remember. But, I mean, Twink Tank actually brings us over to Sumeru, which is our next nation.
It is. And for my originator, I went with the Viridescent Venerer. Because we learned that she is actually Sumerian born, which we may have all always known that, except for me, who assumed she was from Mondstadt because it just made sense in my head.
I feel like I thought she was from Mondstadt at first.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, that's where you get her stuff.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So, but she's from Sumeru. And anybody who needs a reminder for one, again, we have an episode. Most of these people, we have episodes that you can go back and listen to if you want a little reminder of who they are. But basically, she walked around barefoot. She was very much in tune with nature. And then she met a blind boy who was basically killed by a monster of the cataclysm, and she turned evil and killed people until another crazy blood-stained person killed her. There's a lot of trauma there.
It's just the circle of life in Teyvat.
And who better to represent that than Jet?
Oh, yes.
Jet knows some deep ass shit. She has wandered the desert. She has seen death. She has been almost murdered herself.
And she will fucking go crazy on your ass and slaughter you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wondered if Jet was blind.
Oh, because of the mask thing?
Yes, that'd be kind of fun too, like the connection.
I did think that Jet was blind at first too, and then I read something about the garb that a lot of the people in the desert wear, and that it's to block the sand.
Yeah, I just assumed that it was to keep the sand out of their eyes. Like if it's sheer, sort of.
Okay.
Like it's like one of those things that they put on horses, like a fly mask that they put on horses' faces just to keep the flies out of their eyes.
They just did a bad job at making it look sheer.
Yeah. Because it does look solid.
It would be a good connection between them, though.
Just something fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I love that one.
Thanks.
Well, mine is very close to Viri. And for my originator, I chose the stripper extraordinaire, my girl Cinnamon. And if you forgot or didn't know about her, because we sure as hell didn't until recently, Cinnamon was a character that was extremely loyal to the Lord of the Forest, who we lovingly call Viagra. But it makes sense. She's a stripper. And she was the most influential teacher in Sumeru, passing on knowledge of the forest, which, got trickled down to Viri eventually. And the modern day person that I would choose for that is Tighnari, because Tighnari is very knowledgeable about the forest and is a teacher of all things forest. I mean, as you can see with his teaching of Kale.
Hmm.
And so now I just really want like Tainari on a pole. Like I need to
Yeah.
see stripper Tainari.
I mean, Sino's got a nice long staff for him to use, so it could happen.
Ooh. Back to the dicks on Christmas.
I meant his pole arm. God, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I really meant
sure
his
you
pole
did.
arm. No, that's what I said, long.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You can't dance even on a long penis. That's like,
Oh
can
my
you
God.
imagine? Hold it. No.
Penises and strippers. Happy holidays.
I have to say that this is a top tier pick because I also picked Cinnamon and Tinyari.
Shut up. Did you
Yeah.
really?
Yes. But also because Cinnamon is considered the originator of the Forest Rangers. And so I
Oh.
thought, Tinyari being kind of I'm going to say kind of, but he is the leader of the Forest Rangers.
Mhm.
And Tinyari, the only thing that Tinyari doesn't have, the Cinnamon had, besides those legs for days. He might have legs for days. We can't tell. He's got such baggy pants on.
Mhm.
Right.
Is that Cinnamon had her whole her high thoughts, of like, man, we're all just in a dream. Everything,
Yeah.
Tinyari's a little more down to earth than Cinnamon, but he does totally smoke with Albedo and Kazuha on occasion, and he's definitely the person growing their pot.
Mhm.
Right.
So I think that he still gets to fit into that.
There's a reason why he knows all the names of the mushrooms.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, Tinyari's character trailer is literally him dropping shrooms. Like, it's him, like, fucking tripping in his character trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
He's tripping his balls off, and Cinnamon was tripping on balls.
And she does it in, like, the name of mankind, and he does it in the name of science.
I was going to say,
Right.
he does it in the name of man.
Although he kind of does it for mankind, too, because he's like, I'm writing it all down to protect people.
Mhm.
And then he goes and yells at them, which is always great. But I like Brandon's. Brandon's was the best because it was mine. To wins.
Great minds.
Woo!
This brings us down to our final nation, and not only our final nation, but because obviously we're not going to do Natlan because we already know theirs.
We have so many.
Yeah.
They're tripping on ancient names. They don't need to add any more to that plot.
Mhm.
So for Fontaine, I picked our good Narcissan Kreutz friend, Elaine Guillotine.
Nice.
And as our originator, and he was part of the Narcissan Kreutz saga. He was a part of the institute that he was orphaned at and grew up. But instead of going down the path of evilness like his counterparts, he went the good way. But he still continued making a lot of things. He's the one who also made Seymour, the mecha dog that you get to hang around with when you start out that quest and when you go see the Melzines and stuff.
Mhm.
So he was very much involved in that. He was involved in the Institute in the Sky, the big blocks that are up there, the ones who had a little accident. But, hey, you got to break a few things.
Was that the Institute of Natural Philosophy?
Yes.
Is that what it was called?
Thank you. Mhm. So I think that a good counterpart to that originator is Fremine. Fremine likes to make and build things. And I think while he's a part of the Fatui.
Wild. I always forget that. I was like, what? Oh, yeah.
Did I just blew your mind?
I know for a second I was like, no, he's not. And I was like, wait, yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. And he's probably one of I wouldn't say he's because Linny's all in there, but I feel like Fremine is the one who father says do this, and Fremine's like, gotcha, here I go.
Yeah, that's like his trauma response from the original Knave.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's a builder.
He's a builder, yeah. He makes all little trinkets and stuff like that, his little penguin friend pairs. And I think that when it comes down to it, just like Elaine looked after his sister so much and that he made Seymour for her, Fremine would do the same thing. And I could see him making something to protect Linny and Lynette as well.
Definitely.
He's a little tinker stinker.
I don't like this one anymore. That ruined it for me. A tinker stinker.
Tinker stinker.
No, I hate it. Banned.
That's what Arlecchino calls him in private.
Oh no, ew.
Like the Tinker Stinker made another mechanical penguin. But
I would
found-
not even bat an eye if I read that. I'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense. 100%.
I liked it up until that. Brandon ruined it.
You're welcome.
Let's see what else branding can ruin.
Speaking of ruining. So for my originator, I chose the lovely Melusine Carol, who was the OG Melusine cop that sacrificed herself for the sake of the people. And I always felt like, I mean, she was almost literally a fish out of water in a way. Like she, came and tried to integrate with the humans and like played her role the best that she could. And, ended up having to sacrifice herself for the good of them and to, help keep them safe and do what's, in their best interest. So I thought the logical pairing for that would be the modern ancient name going to Farina. Farina, of course, is also like a fish out of water because she's created, sort of by being separated from her divine self by Focalors. And she has to sort of sacrifice her own happiness and play this role to keep the people happy and do what's in the people's best interest, even though it's not really in hers. And it's very much like playing a role, like whereas Carol was like, I'm going to play the role of a peacekeeper and a cop and an order keeper for these people that don't even really know who I am. And Farina kind of does the same thing.
No, I think that's a great comparison. And I think like Farina can represent what Carol could have had she not sacrificed herself in the end. Because like Farina sacrificed herself for 500 years, but she came out the other side.
Right.
And that was because of Neuvillette. And unfortunately, Carol didn't really let Neuvillette get involved. So Neuvillette wasn't able to save her.
Yeah, I feel like Neuvillette's fondness of Farina kind of stems from Carol in a way.
Yeah, it's like another daughter.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a very similar dynamic. I love it.
Well, for mine, I actually picked Carol's partner in crime, Vautrin.
Oh, shit.
So for people who don't remember, Vautrin was the human that was partnered up with Carol when she joined the police force, the Millilith of Fontaine. And Vautrin actually saw Carol like he did his little sister who had unfortunately passed away at a young age. And so he like wanted to protect Carol in the same way he wanted to protect his sister. And he would tell Carol, like, stop doing this. Like, you're just going to get yourself into trouble. And Carol would call him a blockhead. And they would argue and bicker like siblings. And when Carol did unfortunately sacrifice herself without telling Vautrin as well, they weren't together when this happened. Vautrin seeked out revenge and murdered the people who got Carol killed. Then he went to jail. And when he was on trial, he admitted to what he did, but he made a scene. And then while in prison, he like tried to refine people. And he was like, don't worry, guys, we got this. And he made like a cute little society of people who tried to better the prison system. And so I thought who better to bear that ancient name than Wriothesley, who also murdered people.
Who also murdered people.
You just gotta keep it simple sometimes, He also murdered.
I mean, he murdered people who deserved to be murdered.
Who hurt his adopted siblings. That was kind of the connection, was Wriothesley saw his adopted siblings, the kids who seemed like family to him, getting hurt by his adopted parents or his foster parents, and he killed the foster parents. He then went to court and openly admitted that he was guilty. And then he went on to prison and he ended up changing prison and making it better. And now he also has a Melusine best friend in Siegeween down there.
Aww.
So I thought there was no one better than the Duke himself to represent Vautrin.
That's so cute. And now I want a scene where like Wriothesley and Farina are sibling-like.
It depends on if like you're a Wriothesley Neuvillette shipper.
Oh, yeah.
No, Neuvillette shipper. You could definitely get like the Neuvillette, these are my children moment. Because he definitely has a soft spot for Wriothesley. And Farina witnessed Wriothesley's case. And, Wriothesley always says that he remembers Farina leaving. and him thinking that he disappointed the Archon. But people think that she was really like too upset to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Nouvellette was not happy with that case either. So they definitely both probably have little soft spots for him. But if you're a shipper
if you're a shipper, you think he has a hard spot for him.
That's both. He has both.
I was waiting. I was like waiting to say it.
But if you're a Risley Nouvellette shipper, you also are lucky enough to get almost like Risley possibly also seeing Farina as like a daughter instead of a little sister, which if Vautrin hadn't already had a dead sister, he might have seen Carol as a child instead of as a sibling. So, you know, it's cute either way. It definitely works out well. They're a little family.
I love it.
Yeah. So now when do they get their rocks?
Right.
When does this become canon?
When any of them actually go to Natlan.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they gotta go. We don't know of many people that have been to Natlan who aren't from there.
There is I think it's like the person who runs the front desk of Maripede. She's from Natlan, I think.
Oh yeah, she is.
But like, we don't know many people who have traveled to Natlan.
No,
even.
Nobody's
like,
hanging out and going having their like summer vacation. Well, I mean, really, you should over by Mualani go hang out by the hot spring. That place is like going down the shore.
I guess like it's so funny because like, you know, Jean never like you think back to Mondstadt, right? And Jean is never like, oh yeah, Natlan is cool, but we don't visit there because, you know, the abyss attacks all the time spontaneously.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the reason no one goes there, right?
Well, yeah, and also there's probably like not as developed with their other nation relationships because they probably don't want to leave because then they're not protected by the Wyob. So they're kind of like at risk if they leave. So they probably don't go visit other nations very often. So they're not developed with that.
I just thought of two things though. Just popped in my head. People do go to Natlan and they go to Mualani's because we meet two people we meet a Melusine and we meet a woman from Fontaine who are hanging out over there on vacation.
So only Fontanians go there.
Which is weird because water.
There are the people from the office of Metropole or whatever it is that you do dailies for in Natlan. Do you know who I'm talking about? What's his name? That has all the paperwork.
No. And I do my dailies there all the time. I've never gotten that one.
You know the one who's like involved with like all the paperwork stuff in Fontaine and then ends up like feeding the birds. He was part of a whole, I think, World Quest series. Ian? Iaune.
I'm not sure.
Gestionnaire. He can be found in the Palais Mermon.
I was thinking the one that's outside.
Yeah, he's like in a bunch of world quests and he does commissions. This is him. I think he and like the guy that is like with him a lot that bothers him.
I know Iben has been in Natlan like everyone everywhere else. Our little
Rialte is the other one from Fontaine that's with him in Natlan. That commission is called an official mission.
Who's the one that you gotta smelt stuff with over in Sumeru?
Garcia.
He gets to Fontaine. He doesn't get to Natlan.
It's so funny. So the only two people I know who have been to Natlan, none of them are playable characters. It's Iben, our fave. And then it's also the leader of the Daydreamers Club, Lady Grubel, I think, the cat.
Oh, yeah,
The cat's been to Natlan.
And one of her disciples, basically. Like, I forget which one. But he's a human. And they're from Petrichor in Fontaine originally. So before we depart this holiday season, we just wanted to take a second to say happy holidays to everyone. No matter what you're celebrating, if you've already celebrated, haven't celebrated yet. And also just a reminder that it's okay if you don't like the holiday season. I don't really like the holiday season. So I totally get it.
Same.
I know there are orphans out there. There are people who wear wet socks during the holidays. You don't want to deal with them. There's a lot of things that could happen. You could have recently lost a loved one. You could get a lot of depression during the winter and the holiday season. There could be something situational going on, something at work, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to enjoy the holiday season. We definitely try our best when we're people who don't like it. But if you're someone who does not like the holidays, it's okay not to like the holidays. And we are sending you lots of love, positive vibes, good luck in Genshin polls, whatever you're looking for to help you get through. And just know that you have, hopefully, a little bit of positivity and Tales of Teyvat coming from your corner this holiday season. For those of you who do enjoy the holidays, get your eggnog on, go tinsel your tree. I don't know,
Come
do your
tinsel your
thing.
tree with Tiffany.
Yeah, tinsel the tree with Tiffany. It's our new game. But that being said, if you like this episode, or you disagreed with some of our connections between ancient name bearers and their originators, you can email us at talesoftevatpod@gmail.com to let us know what you think. You can also let us know on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. Additionally, if you're more into Threads or Blue Sky, you can also find us there under Tales of Teyvat. You can also feel free to give us a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're feeling a little lonely this holiday season, or think that you might feel a little lonely in the post-holiday season, you can join our Discord server that we have in collaboration with the Shade Chamber podcast. That's Shades of Teyvat. You could join it by going to bit.ly/Shades of Teyvat. No spaces, no uppercases. You have to be 18 plus to join, so make sure that you are before you join. Wait for that birthday clock to hit, or the doomsday clock, whatever you want to consider it. We do have a lot of fun conversations about Tales of Teyvat, about the Shade Chamber, about Genshin, about Honkai Star Rail. Recently, I've seen some Wuthering Waves conversations going on too, Zenless, and other things as well. There's a lot of crafting. It's really fun for me. But that's a place you can go if you need a little sprucing up this holiday season. I don't know, sprucing up might be the wrong word. If you need a little more positive energy. And lastly, you can also follow us on YouTube, Tales of Teyvat, to see some visual representations and cute little animations where you can find Klee, much like you can find Waldo in the background of our videos. And if you didn't hear, we do have a merch shop open on Ko-fi. So if you were like, I don't want to caffeinate these bitches, they already have enough energy as is, and you didn't want to buy us a coffee or a Diet Pepsi, but maybe you're interested in getting a shirt for yourself, you can head on over to our Ko-fi as well. It's linked in this episode or on our website, and you can check out some of the merch we have. Of course, just like with the caffeination, there is no pressure to purchase, but any proceeds we make will go to paying for our editing software, our web hosting, and everything that comes in between. We will see you next time when we talk about whatever topic we're going to talk about. So until then, safe journeys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, dick nerds.
Oh no, we've ruined everything.